Hello, Big Brother fans. There is so much that happened in tonight's episode that this could potentially be a 20-minute video. I'm going to try my hardest to get this under 10. Here we go. I didn't understand Will's deal in the very beginning of the episode. He was pissed that he was nominated, but then he goes straight upstairs and it's hug, hug, cry it out with Danielle. No, I understand. It's okay. It's okay. You know. So either you're pissed and, Southern Bells go to hell, or you're okay with it. You know what I mean? It's like he is so two-faced. It's crazy. Not that every other people aren't two-faced as well, but he is just so night and day. It is kind of scary, actually. This was also the first time I've ever seen that Dan never had a silver tongue when Boogie confronted him about his lie, actually it was a lie. When Dan said, Frank was the target and he was going to be out tonight when they reset the game, but he's lying because he knew about it well ahead of time and pretended that he only knew the night before. And Boogie is just, you could tell that he was going to keep that little white lie in the back of his pocket. And I don't know that Boogie, for all that he's saying that he's going to start working with these people, really trust anybody. And I think he obviously said that with Frank, that he doesn't like anybody that's still there. Ian came in looking for a new alliance, but he was, in the very beginning of the episode, unwilling to turn his back on Frank. So they, were kind of like, well, why would we let you in, into this alliance? And this alliance was Brittany and Shane and Dan and Danielle. So we moved to the POV, which was called a Field of Veto, where it's kind of like skee ball, where you roll the ball and it kind of loops up and then it ends up and the ball falls into a number. And it was kind of like Chinese Christmas, where you get something, but then the next person opens up their gift and they can choose what you have or keep what they want, what they got, that kind of deal, right? So we have Danielle. She pulled Shane's name, Frank pulled Jen's name, and Will pulled Ian's name. So Boogie was pretty happy that his entire former team is playing, but since Jen and Ian have never shown any prowess in any competition, he really wasn't super duper uber excited. Anyway, so the first person that was taken out was Shane, and Shane pulled the POV out of the box. The second person out was Will, and obviously since he was on the block, he decided to take the veto, but he in turn had won a veto ticket, which is good to use so that they can be included in next week's veto competition. So he traded that with Shane. So Shane ended up with that. Jen came in and she won a Maui vacation, which she kept. Next was Ian, and he pulled out It's a Dog's Life, where you have to sleep as a dog in the doghouse for 24 hours, and you have to stay in the pen for 24 hours, and you can only come out of the pen to be walked on a leash, and couldn't stay stay on the furniture, had to eat out of a dog bowl, etc., etc., and he chose it. Now, I'm going to talk about that later on, as we move on, but seriously, he is becoming the joke of Big Brother 14. Oh, I forgot to say, it's a review of episode 12 of Big Brother 14 in the very beginning. Anyway, the next one taken out was Frank. He won a $5,000 prize, but he decided to trade it for the veto, because obviously he is on the block. And so then Will in turn got the 5,000K, and that's what he ended up with. The next one out was obviously Danielle. So she pulled a Spiritard, which had to be worn for a week, and since she wanted the control for the entire week, she traded it with Frank. So Frank is stuck wearing the Spiritard for the week, and Danielle took the veto. Um, then we move on to America's Vote for, we get to choose what we want for the have-nots. This week it is rice cakes and rutabagas, candy canes and cod, or onions and oat bran. And it seems like production is also giving grosser choices than in the very beginning. I personally would go with the candy canes and cod because at least cod is some form of protein. And yeah. Let's see. Then we move on. Next, we move on to Boogie and his operation. Let's get Janelle out of here. He says that she's been a thorn in his side for the last 2 seasons, and he just wants her out. He goes into the HOH room to talk to Danielle, and he says, the different alliances going on are Dan and Danielle, Brittany and Shane, and Boogie and Frank. And he says, why don't we all come together and try to get Janelle out? So he talked to her. He's got her psyched. Yeah, let's do this. Let's get her out. But Danielle said that she's afraid that he's gonna turn. He's like, where am I gonna turn? If we've got all 6 of us, where would I turn to? Then Boogie talks to Dan, and he gets him totally fired up. And then Janelle interrupts their talk, and they're smart to her, like knowing that she's interrupting them just to interrupt them. And I would too. I mean, when you see people and you're nervous about them continuing a conversation, easier to break it up than to allow that to continue going on. But they do pull Janelle into the conversation, and he said that no one is willing to sacrifice any of their players. Janelle doesn't want to sacrifice either Joe or Will. She doesn't want to get rid of Will this week, but we'll give him up next week. Boogie doesn't want to give up Frank, and it's really interesting because they're still calling them their people when they're not coaches anymore. They're in there and playing for themselves, and Janelle is trying to push that home. It's like, let's leave that in the past, let's move forward, and moving forward means I want the coaches to become a group. But yet she still has that the feeling like I can't get rid of my people. They're still her people, and it's the same with all the other coaches. So I find that extremely interesting that they are veterans of this game, and yet they still feel that they need to protect these people that they were put into the game to coach. It was interesting that Danielle in the diary room said that Brittany, Dan, Shane, and I made that decision to bring Boogie and Frank into the alliance, totally leaving Ian out of the entire equation. Which brings me going back to Ian as the dog, choosing to be the dog. He thinks that it's going to curry him favor with the other guests. It's going to keep him around longer, but the way I just see it is when people look back at it, he's just going to be the laughing, stock of this entire game. I don't think that anyone is going to say, "Oh, we can't get rid of Ian. He took the bullet for each one of us every week, so that we didn't have to be a have-not and be on slop, and he took the dog when he could have given it to Jen and gone to Maui." You know what I mean? It's like they're not gonna. I know I wouldn't. But then maybe that's just me. I'm not sure. So, them leaving him totally out of this equation, even though they said, midway through the episode that they were bringing him in, is just very telling, when they did the POV meeting and Janelle was, Will was taken off and Janelle was put up. Janelle showed no reaction, of course. Once again, she's just not very demonstrative. She's, they've already gone over that in an episode where she doesn't show her feelings and such. But Brittany was totally acting shocked, and I was like, oh, give it up. Seriously, you know what I mean? And, Janny goes out, just the way she normally does. Like, man, I wish I'd known. I would have washed my face and put on makeup. and that's the the Janelle that I like. You know what I mean? She really truly hasn't been herself for some reason, to me at least, in this season. But I wonder if a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, because the her role was so different when the season started to what it is now. If that's not playing a part of it. Anyway, that's it for now. Tomorrow is elimination. What are you guys going to be voting for in terms of America's vote? Like I said, I would go for the cotton candy canes. And I guess we'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.